Hello and welcome back to How About That Crypto. You're watching daily crypto news and updates in 10 minutes with your host, Bitcoin Stylist on Twitter and Bitcoin Hairstylist on Instagram. Today we're talking about all the reasons for FUD in the market. FUD stands for fear, uncertainty, and doubt. There's been a big crash and, where does this go? We're going to be talking about how the SEC, Gary Gensler, is going after crypto exchanges. And hey, what's up? How you doing? And we're going to go over SEC rejecting the accounting of Bitcoin for a publicly traded company. And if you stay to the end, I'll talk about what the worst case scenario is, as I believe, and some of my ideas about what am I doing, in light of all of these all of this crazy sell-off. That'll be at the end. If you like or don't like, please let me know, what the content. Please let me know by leaving a comment. Please like and subscribe if you're watching on Instagram. Please click on the link in my bio and follow it to YouTube and subscribe. It helps support me and it doesn't cost you anything. All right, and just to be clear and litigious, this is not financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. I will include all the links on YouTube and on Twitter for you to do your own research. I decided that with the news, I'm going to do it Monday through Friday. There's just too much news right now to move away from that. So if you want me to do an explainer video on something related to crypto, just let me know in the comments below and I'll put one together. All right, so let's dive in. FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. There's a ton of sell-off going on, and what is going on? There's pain, there's tears, and there is blood. People are running for the exit, or are they understanding what's going on, or are you just going to stick your head in the sand? What is the strategy? Well, I think that's important to understand the variables that are playing into the crypto and increasing risk. I talk a lot about risk, and I said in one video that if you don't know your risk, then you're a fool. I want to retract that a little bit and make a little adjustment and say that if you don't take time to know your risk, or at least put in the work to do your research, then that I think is foolish. If you just buy because somebody tells you to buy, I'm not sure that that's a smart move. I think that everyone should do some level of research and ultimately feel confident with the risk. And that might mean that, hey, I'm willing to make a gamble and just put the money in because I feel good about it and then not look at it for a long time. Maybe that's what you do. Anyway, okay, so let's get into it. SEC Chair Gensler did another star appearance. He hosted a press conference, and he's been in the limelight a lot, and because he is the top cop on the beat for regulating crypto, and he has been expressing. He's kind of tamed his talk a little bit, not really. I mean, that just might be for publicity concerns, but he is concerned about investor protection, and it's primarily with the disclosures, like in stocks. Like if you go and buy a stock, you can look at the company's financial sheets, and there's all these disclosures about the risk. The company has to talk about, they have to do a risk assessment and let you know, and that's what Gary Gensler wants. I don't think that that's a lot to ask personally, but it also, the big question is whether or not these are like stocks or these are like commodities. But we'll talk about that more throughout the week. All right, Bloomberg reports Gary Gensler as saying, I've asked staff to look at every way to get these platforms inside the investor protection remit. Gensler told reporters in a virtual press conference, if the trading platforms don't come into the regulated space, it would be another year of the public being vulnerable. And last year, Gary Gensler rattled crypto markets when he said that most tokens are securities. He also recently said that there's 6,000 coins that are securities, but guess what? There are 16,000. So what are the other 10,000 coins that are not considered securities? I would love to know what that list looks like, and I think everybody else does. I think a lot of people also are getting scared. CryptoPotato.com reports that last October, Gary Gensler affirmed that there is going to be no crypto ban, and that we're not going to follow the Chinese or Russian bans, as they are authoritarian governments, and we are not supposed to be. I'll talk about the Russian ban tomorrow. Jerome Powell, who heads up the Fed, he also reassured the U.S. last year that he has no intention of banning digital assets at the Fed. So the SEC and the Fed both said there's got to be a ban. They just both really want some sort of regulation and primarily disclosures and probably some fees, but the fees aren't really that much. I did a video about that, and you can go back and check that out. Okay, so what else gives FUD in the market? SEC rejects MicroStrategy's Bitcoin accounting, and the company drops 20%. All right, so if you don't know what MicroStrategies is a company owned by Michael Saylor, who is like the Bitcoin bull, number one Bitcoin bull in the world. Their company owns over 100,000 Bitcoin. He owns a ton of Bitcoin personally. I think 50% of their treasury is in Bitcoin, and so it's kind of like complex. So I'm just gonna like give you a little overview. If you're not an accountant, some of these terms might not make sense to you, but I'm gonna do my best to explain. This is really important because if a company, here I'll get into it in a second. Let me explain to you what happened. All right, so the SEC said that MicroStrategy's accounting method's not acceptable. Every publicly traded company has to give quarterly earnings and file like a report. And then every year they have to file a big report. And it has to follow certain accounting guidelines. And Decrypt reports that MicroStrategies is a cloud software company. And so they have a legitimate business that's running and making money. And 2 years ago, they started buying Bitcoin, and it became a de facto Bitcoin fund, and it moves with the price of Bitcoin. And their Bitcoin is currently valued at $4.5 billion, and with a $3.75 billion purchase price. And that was as of like maybe a week ago or a couple weeks ago. So they are currently in the green on their Bitcoin holdings, but now check this out. The SEC is trying to say that Bitcoin is an intangible asset and impairment must be used. What is impairment? Investopedia.com says an impaired asset is an asset that has market value less than the value listed on the company's balance sheet. When an asset is deemed to be impaired, it will need to be written down on the company's balance sheet to its current market value. So what does that mean? So if the value of your asset is subject to impairment, it can only go down. It cannot go up. So here's something that you might understand. So I am Bitcoin stylist. I'm a hairstylist. If the salon purchases some stylish chairs, well, every year because of wear and tear, the value gets written down. That's called depreciation. And you might have heard of that with a house. Like if you own a home, you could depreciate the value of the home. If you own a rental property, you depreciate the value of the home, and that's how you get your write-off, your taxes. Okay, so the difference between the salon chair's normal wear and tear, there is a schedule. There's like some sort of fixed schedule every year. You could write down a certain amount based on normal wear and tear. There's some formula, your accountant would know about that. But what if there is a one-time significant drop in the value? Maybe salon chairs, this is a super simple explanation, so just bear with me here if you're an accountant. If you're an accountant, feel free to just comment below and add any valuable information or correct me where I might be wrong. But I just did my research this morning, and it says that like if there's a one-time drop, say the value of chairs drops 20%, and because of supply and demand, maybe people just stop buying salon chairs and salons stop opening, which will probably never happen, but not never. Again, say never. Anyway, so imagine that happens, and then so the value of the chair drops 20%. So you write it down 20%, and then that depreciation schedule kind of adjusts and then continues on after that. So that's a one-time drop. And so they're saying that Bitcoin is kind of like that, where you can only write it down, you can't write it up. So if you have a quarter where there's volatility, then that makes your entire company value look like it's less than what it's worth, even though you have profit on this asset because it went back up. And that is super important because I don't know that any other publicly traded companies are going to want to put an asset on their balance sheet if they can't claim they can't increase the value of their company by holding on to Bitcoin. So that is a very negative sign. So we're going to see what happens. Now, it's not a perfect example, but that's the best I can explain it. And Decrypt reports that from the SEC, we object to your adjustment for Bitcoin impairment charges for your non-GAAP measures, generally accepted accounting principles. Measures. So it's like a standard, simple standard. The SEC's Division of Corporation Finance wrote in a letter dated December 3rd that was released yesterday, please revise to remove this adjustment in future filings. And MicroStrategy's responded that it would do so. This means that MicroStrategy's next quarterly earnings statement will show the company is worth less on paper than claimed. Well, guess what? It dropped 20%. All right, so I don't know what that means, but that's not good. So we'll see how this whole thing plays out, but adoption is impaired because of impairment, whatever. I don't know. I tried to make up something funny and it didn't work. But basically, this is like very negative thing. So you got SEC chairman going after crypto exchanges and also going after companies that hold balance sheet, Bitcoin in their balance sheet, and refusing to allow them to call that a capital asset. It's like a asset, like a machine or something in your business. I don't know. Anyway, so you made it to the end. So what is the worst case scenario? If you want to go, I get it, but I'm probably running over. I didn't start my timer today. I'm sorry, but this is like such big news. Everything that's going on with crypto. So please forgive me, and you can bounce out here. But if you want to hear what I think the worst case scenario is based on the people that I follow and the quantitative analysts that I follow, they're saying that the worst case scenario, of course, the worst case scenario is it goes to zero, but that historically has never happened in the whole life of crypto, and especially Bitcoin. So what's the worst case scenario? And 200-week moving average. It's there's actually a really good video that I'll include in the link, and it's Benjamin Cohen from Into the Cryptoverse. He's an incredible quantitative analyst and talks a lot about all this stuff, so you could check it out in more depth. But basically, a 2-week moving average is the average price for the last 200 weeks, and that puts the price of Bitcoin, which has been a support level throughout most of its life, or if not all of its life, at $20,000. Yes. Will it go there? I don't know. But as I mentioned last week, or whenever I told you what my strategy was, I think that I bought when it went below the $40,000 previous low. And the next previous low is $30,000. If it goes below $31,000, I'm going to buy more. It may take 3 to 6 months before we really know how all this is going to play out. So I'm just my opinion is that waiting for now and just kind of wait and see. If it drops a certain level to 31,000, I'm gonna buy more, and if it drops again below that, I'll probably buy again around somewhere between 20 and 24,000 if it goes that low. And I'm gonna keep the faith. I'm gonna buy the big dips, not just 10%, like 20, 30% dips, and I'm gonna hodl with my diamond hands. And I'm going to continue to report the news no matter what happens. Like I said, I have the faith. And if there's a term or concept you want me to do a video on, let me know. And I'm going to start doing interviews next month. And if you all have any ideas about what you want to hear about, just drop a comment below. Please like, subscribe, comment. It really helps support me. It doesn't cost you anything. If you're watching on Instagram, there's a link to YouTube. Please just click it and then click subscribe. It really helps me. I really appreciate it. All right. Have a good day. Hodl on.